What's going on, y'all? It is game 3 time tonight. The Denver Nuggets taking on the Los Angeles Clippers in LA in the first ever playoff game in Intuit Dome. It's going to be a great experience, great game. But what do they need from Nikola Jokic? How do they adjust to the 3-2 zone? Basically, they're playing versus the two-man game. But also, what do they do if Michael Porter Jr. can't play? How do they get another victory tonight? We'll talk about all that and more here. Locked on Nuggets. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nugget. This is your host, Swipa. This is your team every day with one of his best friends in the world, the another co-host for Locked On Nuggets, Ryan Blackburn, a.k.a. Ryan Sharpburn, a.k.a. David Adelman's right-hand man. Shout out to you all. We are here getting ready to talk about another NBA playoff game. Y'all, I don't know about y'all, but this is the best time of the year. So many great things to get into, y'all. But today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Ryan Blackburn, brother, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, man. We're talking in the Locked On group chat, and Matt's got something cooking up that he wants to put out there for No Jinx and for Swipe and Gripe. But we gotta figure out the show title, the show name for us. So in the chat, if you've been listening along with us, you gotta give us some tips, and then what you think our show name should be for Swipe and Ryan. Like that's I jokingly called us Salt and Pepper in the group chat, and I thought that was funny. But there's plenty of other things that we could come up with that are way better than that.
Jordan and Paxson, maybe. Ryan, we're gonna get into the game.
At least be Steve Kerr.
So I never punched you before.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, as you're thinking about today, right? There's a whole bunch of noise about Nikola Jokic, and I for one think Nikola Jokic is mostly fine. The end of the last game was just kind of a little confusing. The turnovers as well were also a little confusing. When you describe the first two games so far from Joker, what has kind of crossed your mind? But also, what do you feel like they're going to need from him tonight to get a victory in LA?
Well, the first thing that people don't really appreciate is just how good the Clippers defense is. Zoo has been fantastic pretty much all like of the first two games defensively. And he's done a really good job of defending without fouling, or at least pushing the barrier in terms of, like, hey, you're in a physical game. You're in an environment where you're allowed to bang a little bit. Like he's getting away with some contact and getting away with some smart defense. That's exactly what he should be trying to do in a playoff environment. And the other guy's Chris Dunn, who, going back and I watched every single one of Denver's 20 turnovers last night, just in kind of prepping for what we should be looking for in this particular game. There's one where Chris Dunn just jumps like a Hellcat, like going from like defending Christian Brown to defending Aaron Gordon underneath the basket, and springs out of nowhere to be able to get a ball that Jokic didn't even really telegraph. Like, it was the right read that he made, but Dunn just made a great play. And so sometimes you're going to see that when you're facing really great teams, and Jokic now just has to be able to read that and understand, okay, these guys are really good. I've got to use that to my advantage. I have to be smarter than they are. I have to be a step ahead of where Chris Dunn thinks it's supposed to be. So that's the other thing. He's also got to simplify things for himself and just take more okay shots rather than trying to push a pass into a very tight window and try to turn a good shot into a great shot. That's great in theory. But Denver is going to be okay if they score 105, 110 points. They don't have to score 120. Yeah. So go for the plays that get you to 110.
Don't tell Santa Cruz, my friend. Just take a breather. Like, my friend, we've been dealing with each other all year. Jokic took 8 threes last game, y'all.
He was 4 of 7 before having to take the garbage 3 right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And you you want to make sure you're always putting pressure on the rim, and he knows that.
Right.
He understands that. So he's trying to balance out just spotting up from three and taking driving lanes. So that's a tough place for him to be. But like, yeah, he's gonna pop for three. Like I have very little doubt that he will take more shots in this game.
Yeah. And some of this too is like Jokic, this reminds me of the 2022 series versus the Warriors, even though it's 1-1. Should be maybe 2-0 for Denver, you could argue, but 1-1 I think is fair. But Jokic in that first two games, he averaged 24, 10, and 5, and he shot 48% from the field. And everybody was like, national media, shouldn't win MVP. Like, look at this guy, like, 24 points per game. He's a fraud. But then next thing you know, and I told Ryan this, last three games of the series, he averaged 33, 13, and 6 or 36, 13, and 6 rather, on 73 true shooting. And I think some of this is like he's adjusting to what's happening around him. And I think people have not paid attention to the Clippers are literally swarming him on every possession. There was one play, even when Jokic got the ball in the post in the fourth quarter, Ryan, it was Jamal Murray's three where he made as the top man on a kick out from Jokic in the post. Jokic turned his shoulder to the baseline and started driving baseline, and instinctively Chris Dunn and James Harden sprinted at Jokic's offhand to his blind side and left Jamal wide open, and Jokic gave him the ball, and Jamal made the three. But what it showed me is that Tyronn Lue, Ryan, has basically instructed them, every single time you get a blind shoulder from Joker, you blitz and you double hard. And what we're going to do, especially that if he ever drives to the point where he's not facing you, like facing the basket, so open side, like towards the sideline where to your left shoulder, if he goes back any other direction, I mean, it's over. And they're sending, again, Ryan, maybe you can tell me another situation you've seen this. They're playing 3-on-2 with the two-man game in a way I can't quite say I've seen, at least maybe in previous Denver Nuggets iterations. But I think some of this is because of the Nuggets roster construction this year with no KCP, no assumed spacing. They're taking gambles off of Christian Brown. They're taking gambles off of Russell Westbrook. And they're literally saying, we're going to make adjustments, because first game, Ryan, they actually put Chris Dunn in free safety mode. And then that way they had James Harden and Norman Powell playing the low man because at that point they had Kawhi Leonard on Jamal Murray. Yeah. So none of that no more. We're going to put Chris Dunn on Jamal, Zoo on Jokic, and we're going to double with Harden or triple with Harden, and he's going to step up, and it's going to be Kawhi as the low center man. And like, these are great defensive plays by Tyronn Lue, and they're executing well, and the Nuggets are still scoring at a fairly high well to the pick and roll this year.
They're doing it pretty well, and it's you asked me what it kind of reminds me of. It's where, like, the first thing where teams kind of junk it up a little bit. I remember when Stephen Curry, after Kevin Durant went down in the NBA Finals back in 2019, they went to a box-and-1 against him in that situation, and we're just like, you know what, screw it. We do not care about the rest of the team. We know how important you are. We are going to try to cut off the head of the snake as much as possible and force as much passes and as much confusion as possible. The other was when Giannis had the wall built against him by Toronto. Funny, same personnel, same team, a team that has Kawhi Leonard as well, and a very smart Danny Green in that situation, and Fred VanVleet and guys like that. Those are the kinds of guards that are really great with their hands, that are very quick, lightning fast. And if you're not reacting in a very quick way and you don't know exactly what you're doing, then it's going to be very, very difficult. So you asked me for adjustments, like what Denver can do.
Yeah,
I think, and I said this to you right before the show, Denver's got to park a guy in the corner at all times. And I think they have to be in a situation where those passes, like that passing window is so small when you've got
strong side corner or weak side corner.
On the weak side corner, especially.
So opposite of where they're running the action through.
Yes.
Well, that's a cross court pass at that point. Do you think?
Can Jokic make the cross court?
Well, no, Jamal in particular in that situation.
It's tough. So if it's Jokic initiating, I think that he can. If it's Jamal initiating, you want somebody at the strong side corner so that he can make what is a relatively easier read.
Right.
But I think that the issue that Denver runs into so often is that the passing windows are so small when you've got teams like the Clippers and personnel like the Clippers that are just consolidating and condensing down, and a guy like Chris Dunn who can cover so much ground in just a short amount of time. So you want to make it so that those passing windows are as large as possible. Force those issues to be like, and force the Clippers to have to make a choice, force them to have to make rotations. And if you can force that and rather have them defending two guys with one player, then you're in a much better spot. So I think Denver, they have ways that they could do it, but I kind of think it's like Christian Brown's got to shoot and make some threes in this game. I think that that's going to be what this comes down to, and I think that he will.
Yeah, it's going to be really curious. We're going to talk about that on the other side. What are some other adjustments that they can make? And then also with the rotations, how do they kind of make this little trio going that they got going on with Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook, and Michael Porter Jr.? How do you make the best decision out of that, knowing what to do? We'll talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Woo, y'all! I'm telling y'all, if this is the way to go. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick TV 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controllers, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and avoid. As easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Now, you get endless entertainment with this. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Now, you can host with hard. So if you really like gaming and you really like getting into this kind of stuff, this is the thing for you. Like, you really want to make sure you're maximizing your TV usage, especially smart TVs. I'm telling y'all, this is just the easiest way to combine your TV watching and your video game play. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Y'all, we'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa, with us, one of his besties, Ryan Blackburn, one of the best content creators, one of the best writers in all of the NBA sphere, Ryan Blackburn. Y'all, make sure we are almost at 10,000 subscribers, y'all. Go ahead, press that subscribe button. We are on the way to 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube side. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Let some of your favorite people know where you like getting some of your favorite Denver Nuggets content. Also, give us a 5-star review on all audio platforms. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets with Matt Moore, Ryan Blackburn, and myself. All right, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about further adjustments. Do you think this series is simply just going to be as fluid? And even tonight, whoever's playing the best between Porter, Brown, Russ, and Watson, whoever the two of those four are playing the best, they just need to be closing at all times?
So I assume you've got Murray, you've got Gordon, you've got Jokic out there. Like, no matter what, those are Denver's 3 best players. Those are the guys that you want to count on. Gordon, obviously, like, he's your primary Kawhi matchup in a lot of these situations. But with those other guys, Russ, Christian, Mike, Peyton, I think the first thing is going to be determined, like, how healthy is Porter? How's he feeling? Like, assuming that it's not an issue, assuming that he can bear the pain, I think it's probably going to come down to, like, is he shooting well? Is he providing the layer of defense that you're looking for? You saw how helpful his spacing was at various points throughout that game. And you saw how it could really cause some chaos when he wasn't out there as a spacer, when everybody was kind of cutting and into the paint, into open air, into closed area, not open space. I think that one of the things that I would do is I would really try to explore having Peyton Watson guard Kawhi Leonard as much as possible early in the game and try to free up Aaron Gordon from a physical perspective. You want to take advantage of the fact that Peyton Watson's one of the better perimeter defenders in the entire NBA. You want to take advantage of the fact that even if he gets switched on to Harden or Norman Powell, or even if he's a Zubats, he's got at least something to give in each of those matchups as well. So I think that he should be on the floor a little bit more. And if it's successful, then maybe he's a guy that should close. Maybe he's a guy that can provide more of an impact on the ball against each of those different elements. So I would probably just default to the fact that it's going to be Russ and Christian Brown. But there are scenarios where I think that Peyton Watson and Michael Porter should both be out there. Maybe even both of them. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see how this kind of works out. People were kind of getting on, like, they said that Gordon, wasn't doing super well on Kawhi and this and that, and Peyton Watson should have been in the game. I actually think Gordon did a great job. Just Kawhi was making all of his contested jumpers that game. And I honestly didn't even have a lot of issues with the Jamal Murray switch per se, but I do think fourth quarter, they do need to just simply, if one of them's hitting shots, just double. Like, especially if it's Kawhi. I'm doubling. You're just not going to get the shot off because, again, oh, man, going back and watching that game, Ryan, the Nuggets got a perfect double at, I think it was 99. I can't remember what the score was. With a minute and 40 seconds left, and that's the Porter turnover right on that possession. I'm just like, wow. You want to talk about a perfect possession. They ran a double drag to get Porter out isolated on Kawhi Leonard, but then they got a great double team with him. I think it was it might have been Christian Brown and Michael Porter Jr., I remember correctly. And then they get the rebound there. And if they would have just simply held on to the ball there, we could be looking at a whole different outcome in this game. And I think the defense has honestly been really good so far. I don't think, again, this is me, I don't think Kawhi Leonard's going to start the game 12 or 13 again. Like, I think that was very much a lot of the issue, is just like he wasn't missing anything. But also, too, some of this is, I think the Nuggets are going to get a better game from Joker tonight. I think he's going to be more in control. He's going to be more dominant as a scorer. And I think now, based on how they have played the first two games, they've thrown a lot of looks at Denver. And I think Jokic is going to be more used to those looks based on what's happening on the film, based on what he experienced last game. And actually, to the point, Ryan, I think instead of having a corner man, what I would do sometimes when they are playing that 3-on-2 up high on the two-man game, the Nuggets gotten a lot of spacing issues because they would have Gordon or Brown or Gordon and Russ or Russ and Brown where they would be stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait, what are we doing? Like, why are people not spacing the floor out? And I think if you bring one of them to the mid-level right around that nail area, well, at least now you have somebody that can do an outlet pass to. And now Russ can use his great passing ability to try to find Gordon or Brown somewhere on the floor, or Michael Porter Jr. And I think you just need to utilize the space of the court they are allowing you to use a bit more. And honestly, like, I look at Murray. Murray's played pretty well so far in the series. We haven't got a Murray game yet. Murray did play well in game 2, though. And I think he's going to have some really important moments this game, especially in the non-Jokic minutes. I think he needs to be more aggressive there and to not be willing to give the ball up. They need to run more pick and roll, but also you need to make sure you're taking those shots, getting to the rim, especially with no Zoo on the floor. So a lot of it is just going to be manipulating exactly how the Clippers are guarding you on a possession-by-possession basis. But I do truly think they have some ways they can win tonight in a pretty substantial ways.
They certainly can. Like, I will get into predictions a little bit in the last segment, but I do think that this is kind of lining up more for the Clippers in this particular game, not necessarily in the series overall, but this particular game, this particular moment where Michael Porter's struggling, Denver's still trying to figure out how to navigate the spacing stuff that they have. There will be some things that they learn over the course of this series, and they're in the process of learning it now. It does seem to me like the first two games were just the Clippers were surprised at times with the way the Nuggets were pressuring them, the way that they forced turnovers. And then the Nuggets were surprised at times with the way that the Clippers were pressuring them and putting some additional pressure on passes and drives and things like that, that the Nuggets may not have expected, at least to the degree that they got. So now both teams have one of those games out of their way. I'm curious to see what it looks like when both teams kind of play a pretty clean game. And find more opportunities for open shots, find more opportunities for driving lanes when they can get them. Can the Nuggets outscore the Clippers in a situation like that? Can Jokic, and I think he's going to have to do this, can he put up 35, 40 points in a game like this one where, spacing's not going to be very good. Sometimes you might have to see an extra guy. Sometimes you might have to turn over the other shoulder and just put in a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're going to have to be able to leverage your size and your physicality and draw some fouls, get Ivica Zubac into foul trouble.
Yeah.
There's going to be some ways that they could just kind of power through some of the technical stuff that the Clippers have thrown their way. And if you could see Jokic get to the free throw line and actually make his free throws this time, then you could, you might be able to get a good opportunity to win this one.
On the other side, we're going to finish this part of the conversation, and then we're going to give our official predictions tonight for who wins between the Nuggets and the LA Clippers. We'll be right back for more here. Locked On Nuggets. Oh boy, there's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as the tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. I love using Game Time. It helped me find the best deals, best seating, best prices for my money's worth. Last-minute deals, save up to 60% off buying last minutes for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. The all-in pricing means no surprise fees. To check out what you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We'll be right back for the final segment here. Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for segment 3 of Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa, with one of his besties, one of the best to do it in the land, Ryan Blackburn, a.k.a. Mr. Big Market himself. Ryan, I will say this. Jokic, especially in those non-Zubac minutes, needs to make it much more of a point to punish them on the interior as much as possible. Forget all that passing. Forget all that playmaking. Forget all that Magic Johnson stuff, Jokic. This is Jordan time. It's time for you to really imprint yourself as an offensive scorer. Now, he's done that fairly well. But look, you're right. Those free throws, Jokic, goodness gracious. I mean, honestly, you need to concentrate because the free throw misses that he's had this series have been horrendous. He has some duds so far, and that's just not Jokic. Jokic shot 90% from the free throw line in the playoffs last year, but he also shot 29% from the free. So, it just depends on what you want. You want free throws, you want three. You're not going to get both of them. And
can't be utterly perfect. Like, it just has to be mostly perfect.
Goodness gracious.
No.
I do think that his jumper's flowing right now, so let it fly. I think that he needs to let it fly from the inside. You finish your layups. And honestly, force the issue. Like, some of this is as simple as, like, you got 2 days off. The team needs you to do this. And on top of that, the more you score, the more you open up the floor for everybody else. Because, y'all, if you're really going to double that hard, well, look, the Nuggets actually have a few people that are shooting fairly well from the three-point line. Right now, Michael Porter's shooting 500% or 50% from three. Murray shooting 46.7% from three. Russ, 41.7. Jokic, 41.7. And then Aaron Gordon, who shot 46% from three this year, he's only at 33 right now. Maybe he can shoot a little bit better tonight. So you got people you can look for. It's just a matter of finding them on the court and giving them most opportunities possible. So, Ryan, I do think tonight's going to be a turn-up game, and I actually expect the Nuggets to come out swinging tonight. What is your official prediction? And I wanted you to tell me your prediction for tonight, how it goes in the first half, fourth quarter expectations for this team.
Okay. I think that first half, this game is going to be pretty close. Denver's going to be battling. There will be a couple of runs that the Clippers go on. The Nuggets are going to have to weather that storm. This is going to be one of those things that, Intuit Dome's going to be rocking. There's going to be a lot of situations where Denver, they might miss a free throw or two, and that place is going to go crazy. Denver commits a turnover, and then they allow a run out, and there's a dunk, and everybody's just losing their minds, and it's going to be wild. But I think it'll be about a 5-point game, one way or the other, heading into halftime. And people aren't going to like this. I think the Clippers are going to kind of blow it open second half, like kind of late third quarter-ish. I think that what happens when you've got two teams that are playing really well, you've got two teams that are playing really hard and are evenly matched, it's not always like 1 point to 5 point games every time down. Sometimes you're going to have a blowout. And I think the thing that's going to really hurt Denver is they're going to miss a couple open threes. They're going to commit a couple turnovers. Jokic is going to complain about some fouls. Murray's going to complain about some fouls that they don't get. And the Clippers are going to capitalize on that in those situations. And I think one of the numbers that I pulled, Clippers shot 23% from three in the corners at Denver. I just don't think that's going to hold. I don't think that's going to hold in their home arena. And I think that Denver, for as well as they have reasonably shot in the corners for themselves and kind of above the break for themselves, I kind of just don't think that's going to hold as much for most of it. Now, if Denver does win, it's going to be because they surprise people with how well they shoot. They're going to have to overcome some of those situations. They're going to have to overcome a roaring crowd. Good Lord, I am so tired. They're going to have to figure this stuff out. If they do, then they're going to have a chance, and I believe the Jokic will take them home. I just don't think they're going to be close enough when the time comes for them to actually do that. And so I think the Clippers are going to be winning this game by 15, 20 points. That would be my guess.
First off, Ryan, the Clippers shot 25% from the corner for basketball reference. So you were wrong. You actually don't know what you're talking about, El Ryan.
My mistake.
And then the Nuggets shot. They now, to be fair, the difference is the Nuggets shot 46.7% from the corner, but these are not contested shots. They're like blatantly wide open shots. So like some of this is like, well, what do you expect? You know what I mean? Like you're just.
But didn't the Nuggets just kind of give Chris Dunn as many shots as he wanted? Derek Jones Jr. as many shots as he wanted?
You can probably look it up while I'm talking. I actually don't remember what Chris Dunn is shooting specifically from the corner.
1 of 7 from 3.
Yeah, well, respect Chris Dunn. He did shoot 40% the last month of the year, but Chris Dunn's just not traditionally been a great shooter, right? And also, not every shot's the same in the playoffs, as everybody knows.
Of course. He just might not be a playoff shooter, and that's perfectly reasonable. But Christian Brown's also 1 of 6 from 3 overall.
Yeah, well, somebody got to come back to the means because Christian shot 39% on the entire year, and he ain't hit nothing. So somebody's got to come back to the means.
That's the key. To me, if Denver's going to win, it's going to be because Jokic has 30, Murray has 30, and Christian Brown has stepped up and hit his shots.
So let me see. As somebody who picked the Clippers to win the series, so I think I have more to stand on than Ryan over there. I actually think the Nuggets win by 6 today. And I think I said this a couple days ago. I think they win by 6 tonight. I actually think it's going to be a little bit of a statement game. And I think Kawhi Leonard comes back he's going to come back to earth. But I think the thing is, the Nuggets haven't really played well outside of, like, even Jokic hasn't played amazing yet. Murray, I think, had a good game in game 2, but hasn't had a crazy game yet. Gordon, game 1 was really good, but I think he has advantages in this matchup. They're going to leave him open and stuff as well. CB's done nothing so far. Russ was not good in game 1 offensively. Then he was good in game 2 offensively. Porter had a good game 2. I think Porter plays based on kind of what David Adelman's saying. Well, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening with that. I think Peyton Watson hadn't shot well at all. But also on this other side of this too, like the second unit, David Adelman. The first one that we saw, the open up the series was Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray out there together. I'm just like, David, why? This makes no sense. And then the second one, Jamal was just like doing nothing for whatever reason. Like they just were not playing as aggressive enough, and they're not going to give you the pick and roll. Stop running it. Like they're just attack bogey on 1-on-1 and then get downhill, draw a foul. It's Ben Simmons at the rim. So Jokic maximized those Ben Simmons minutes because they can't play Zubac 42 minutes a game. Like he physically can't do that consistently. So when you do get those 2 minutes with no Zoo, you should get 4 free throws, 4 at least in the first quarter. And then the other side of this as well, come fourth quarter, figure out, bring a man to your point. I would have help strong side. That way you have an open 3-point opportunity available if you need to have it. I would bring a man to the middle if you need be. That way you can shift Aaron Gordon to that midi area, or you can shift Russ or Brown or Porter to that area. Then you can make a decision out of there. And then on the other end of this, you get downhill quicker, be more decisive Jokic. When you get James Harden on your backside, go over the top, score on him, be aggressive as a scorer, and then create as many fast break opportunities as possible. They had 14 fast break points in the first quarter. Zilch the rest of the game. And the Clippers made a good adjustment on that. But that was also like the Nuggets were just, spacing. And again, Ryan, I've told people the Nuggets off each issue this series has been their offense, not their defense. Their defense has been good. I would say for 7 of the 8 quarters, it's been good to great for most of the time. And so some of this is like you have an identity. Ryan, I called Ryan. When was this? 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It was on your way to yet another podcast. Hey, my name is Ryan Blackburn. And then you were like, you were pissed. You know, said this pisses you off because you're like, they could have done this all year. And I'm like, I know it doesn't. But if there was ever a time you were going to unsheath your sword, this is the time to do it. And if you play with a level of defensive intensity and then you commit to being aggressive offensively, you can win this game. I actually think the Nuggets are slightly favored in this situation. Again, I got them by 6. We'll see. I think Matt has them with an L. I think you have them now with an L. And then we'll see. You know, maybe we'll get a switch up. But I think it's going to be 2-1. And the next thing you know is all the pressure on that game 4 for the Clippers. And if the Nuggets, you know, if they start getting confidence in the situation, they might be able to slam the door. So I got Nuggets by 6 tonight.
Man, I want it. I want it to happen. It'll be a big deal. It would be a big deal for Denver if they got this one, recover from what was a pretty. It wasn't a bad loss in game 2, but it was just an unfortunate one. Loss. And so if, like, whether it's Jokic, whether it's Murray, whether it's Christian, whoever it is, like, it's just win. It's just winning, and that's all you got to do. I don't care about agendas. If you're a Nuggets fan, you should absolutely not care about who gets the job done.
Yeah.
It's just about who's willing and able to step up and who's got an opportunity to do so. And you want to see Denver step up to the table on the road in what is going to be a hostile environment. It's going to be big.
So this part right here, that 18 more rebounds, like, I don't actually think the blowout thing is there. Like, the Nuggets are just a better rebounding team than the Clippers. That's also what I'm saying. They have the ability to be more physical on the boards. I think they will be, but we'll find out tonight. And then we'll have maybe a post-game show tonight with you and Matt, perhaps. And then we have game 4 coming up on Sunday. But nonetheless, Matt and I will be with you tomorrow. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. This is Swipa. That's Ryan. See ya on the other side.